Here's another example using the distance formula to the midpoint, and the ordered pairs of the midpoint. All right, here are our two values. Let's make this our second point, and this one may be our first. Coming to our equation, x2, -6. x1, negative. So this is a subtraction within the formula, and here's our value, -1. This is d equals. All right, plot, and all of that gets squared, plus our values for y. Here's our second value, that's 7, minus a -5. In this case, I'm going to go -5. And that whole thing is squared. I think the most vulnerable part of this is when you're populating the formula. This is where you have to get all of these numbers correct. So sometimes I mark my order pairs like I did here, first and second pair. So I don't have the busyness of x sub 2 and y sub 2. That's a lot to look at and process. All right, so whichever way is good for you, you may find a different way. You may want to take your ordered pairs and set them aside like this, -6, 7, and -1, -5, you know, where you actually pull them out, so you're looking at them this way or on top of each other. I don't know. You're going to figure that out yourself. That's going to be a personal preference. But we've got to get these numbers correctly populated into the formula. So now we're ready to go on. We're applying our rules now for positive and negatives. We've got a -6, that's a standalone, but here we've got two signs together. And two negatives for the positive and negative rules in addition and subtraction say that two of the same, turns positive. So we've got a 1 here. N squared plus the 7 is a standalone. You can just drop it into the equation. But here we have the same thing, two signs in a row. They're the same. Are they the same? Yes. That's a positive answer. Yes. 2. Okay, now I'm going to run out of board space here. So let me just take this off. And I'll put it down here. It's my second point. D equals the square root of. Here we've got a combination now of our positive and negative rules. This goes to a -5 squared plus, that's an easy one, that's 12. Now we can take care of the square root part of it. -5 times a -5 gives us 25. And 12 times 12 is 144. Distance is equal to the square root of 25 plus 144 is 169. Now, I just know this one by heart because I've worked with it so often, but you could kind of back into this a bit. 144 was 12 times 12, so we know it's going to be bigger than 12. You might try a 13. And if you want to check yourself, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3, and then 3 again, and 1. And we have 9, 6, and 1. So 169 is the same as 169, so we know that the distance from point to point is 13. So coming back to our line, this whole line is 13. We'll make it 13 feet. So from here to here is 13 feet. So to go from the distance from an end point to the middle, to the midpoint, is another formula that you have in your notes, which encompasses the the distance formula itself. It starts out the same way, and then we have this divided by 2. So all the work that you've done so far filters down to the d equals 13, and now we're going to do the last calculation. That would be 13 divided by 2, which is 6 1/2. So we know now that from here to the midpoint is 6 1/2 feet, and from the midpoint to this other end point is 6 1/2 feet. And that makes sense because 6 1/2 plus 6 1/2 does add to 13 feet. So that part's done. But we still don't know the exact point on the grid where we find the midpoint. We just know that it's 6 1/2 from each of the ends. We can figure that out with that ordered pair to the midpoint calculation that you have also in your notes. This one, our ordered pair formula from your notes. We need to put in our values, again, from our endpoints. So our second point for the x is a -6 plus a -1 divided by 2. That is going to give us the x value of this ordered pair. Over here, we're going to get the y value for it. So our ordered pair is going to have an x and a y section to it. This is going to be the x section, and I have a comma. Now I'm going to work on the y. Taking the y value, 7, and the y value of the first point, -5, divided by 2, following this formula. Next, the calculation. -6, sign number, that's good. Sign number. Oop, we got to do something there. Are they the same? No, that means it stays negative. So -6, -1 divided by 2. In this case, everything is fine, so it's just really a copy job at this point. Next step, combine the terms. -6, -1 is a -7 over 2. And this one is 7, take away 5 is 2, 2 over 2. Simplify, negative. When we have a division problem, this is a negative, that one is an understood positive. The signs are different, so the sign of the answer is going to be negative. 3 1/2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our ordered pair for the midpoint is at -3 1/2, 1. So let's come back to our grid, and I'll do it in a different color. So we're going to come over here, 3 1/2. So this is 1, 2, 3 1/2, right about there. And then we're going to go up 1, would be here. So here's the 1, and here's the 3 1/2. So the midpoint of this line is -3 1/2, 1.